At Extinction Rebellion, Insulate Britain, and now the latest incarnation of the eco-protesters, Just Stop Oil. The Just Stop Oil people have today targeted 3 oil terminals in Birmingham and Essex and say they have stopped production at the Kingsbury terminal in Birmingham. One of the Stop Oil protesters, Nathan McGovern, joins me now. Good evening, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Whereabouts are you at the moment?
So right now I'm in London.
Oh, okay. Have you been to any of these refinery protests?
Yeah, I'm sure you're probably aware I have been. That's probably why you're asking me that question.
Well, yeah, but you're in London, so there's no refineries there, are there? So I was just presumably you've come back from one of these refineries, or?
Yeah, and I can already anticipate your how did I get here question. Would I be right with that?
Okay, go ahead. Answer your own question.
What I would say to that is, to an extent, we're all hypocrites. We're all reliant on this fossil fuel addiction that we've been pushed into from birth, essentially. By a government that is in bed with the likes of Shell, is in bed with the likes of BP, to the tune of about £25 million of taxpayer money a day. We're all forced to be reliant on the system. And there's no contradiction in acknowledging that.
Why don't you talk to the government? Why don't you talk to people rather than just mount these demonstrations? Because there's these very disruptive demonstrations. Don't forget, hospitals need oil. People need oil. People need it for their heating. They need it for all sorts of reasons. It's a very vital facet of modern life. Why don't you talk to the government rather than cause this untold disruption, particularly at hospitals where lives are at risk?
Well, first of all, we've tried that, A month before we started this campaign of civil resistance, we tried to enter into a dialogue with the government. We were ignored. It's something that we've been trying.
But what do you expect them to say, Nathan? Okay.
Discussion.
When you talk, but you're not. You people are not really compromisers, are you? If you're going to sit down with the government, would you come to some kind of compromise?
Well, the fact of the matter is we do not have the time to spend. We do not have the time to spend in rooms with people that do not care. We've tried to talk to them. We've tried to make them see the science. I mean, this is a mainstream position we're talking about. The International Energy Agency told us last year we cannot have any new investments in fossil fuel projects. This is an international intergovernmental panel.
Well, tell that to the Chinese, where they've got 1,082 coal fuel power stations, and they're building 300 new ones, and they're prospecting for more oil and fossil fuels, looking for coal. Same for India, same for Russia, same for Brazil. Why bother here? We hardly do any damage to the planet in Britain at all.
So just looking at other people, that's your solution, pointing out...
Well, what is the point? What you're doing is tokenism. It's tokenism. Go to Beijing. Here, make a protest that works.
We are claiming to be a leader on climate, right? This country is claiming...
Yeah, but there's no point in us being a leader.
There's no point. Absolutely not. We still have 42 new projects in the pipeline. There's a little phrase to bring up at times like this. It's let he without sin cast the first stone, right? Why? Who are we to point at China? Who are we to point at India?
Oh, you don't care that China have got 1,082?
Oh, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. But right now, I am here in Britain.
Well, who are you to point the finger at people like me that don't put among my priorities climate change? To be honest with you, I'm not that bothered. I don't agree with you that there's an emergency.
You're not that bothered.
So who are you to point the finger at me?
You're not that bothered.
Who are you to point the finger at me? No, I'm not that bothered. I don't believe there's an emergency.
You've just admitted that live on radio. You are not bothered about the lives of your children.
I didn't say that. I haven't got any children.
No, you absolutely did. When I asked you a direct question, do you care about
No, I said I'm not that bothered about your... No, wait a minute, Nathan. Let me speak. Let me speak. Keep talking. I'm not that bothered about what you call a climate change emergency. Don't conflate what I'm saying. Don't put words into my mouth. I am not that bothered about your alleged climate change emergency. It's nothing to do with children dying, your contention. And who are you to point the finger at me for having different priorities to you? You're fascists. You're emotional fascists. You think that you have the right to impose your beliefs on everyone else and ruin their lives.
This isn't me saying this. This isn't about me. This is about the most credible academics on the planet. This is about the IPCC.
Yeah, but what about the people? What about all the people that do not see this as a priority? Why do you feel you have the right to disrupt other people's lives because you see it as a priority? You people are fascists. You know this.
Again, this isn't about me. This is about...
Yes, it is. Stop doing it then.
Credible academics in climate science, right? The people who know what they're talking about, the people who have dedicated.
So you take this information, which by the way is debatable, you take this information and you decide that gives you carte blanche right to wreck people's lives with your ridiculous demonstrations.
Are you a climate change denier, Kevin? Because
no, I'm not a climate change denier. I completely accept the climate is changing. But I believe the jury is out on how much mankind is responsible for that.
So you are disagreeing with upwards of 90% of scientists who have spent their lives dedicated to this field. That's what you're telling me. You are disagreeing with people who have dedicated entire academic
I disagree with the contention that it is an emergency.
What we are doing to people all the way across this planet.
Do you realise your obsession is close to mental illness? Do you realise that? Do you realise that?
Do you realise someone is dying?
Oh, come on, Nathan. Grow up. Grow up, Nathan. Don't be so childish. Don't be so childish. You're being childish. Grow up. Come on. Don't start talking about children dying. That is inflammatory nonsense.
To insult when someone...
Well, you've been insulting me for 10 minutes.
To tell them the situation we're in, and you are ignoring it. You are putting your hands over...
It's my right to ignore it if I want to. Why do you think your priorities are more important than mine? It's a free country, and you people don't seem to accept that.
Would you be ignoring the fire alarm? Let me ask you.
Fire alarms don't take 10 years before you have to act. You're saying that...
We have to act now. Millions of people are dying every single year.
Oh, rubbish! Absolute rubbish. Nathan, it's kind of you to join me on Easter, but you're just talking absolute rubbish. You people are obsessed and you've got problems, and you must stop disrupting decent, honest citizens' lives just because of your own obsessions. The rest of us has got the right to believe that we do not have a climate change emergency, and you people, because you think that what you think is superior to the rest of us, you're just fascists. You're fascists. Live and let live, Nathan. So you carry on, but stop ruining everybody else's lives. Thanks very much for your time. That's Nathan McGovern there, Just Stop Oil protester. When we come back, Jack the Ripper, we're going to be identifying that. From the sublime to the ridiculous. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and this is Talk Radio.